He would spend time kind of in and out of mental institutions, therapeutic households, kind of group home situations, just kind of back and forth between the house and these places, because he just was like really struggling with depression, some sort of schizoid sort of behaviors.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, the parents divorce eventually. Only about 5 weeks after the divorce, Harry commits suicide.
Wow.
Susan was only 6 years old when this happened. And despite the fact that she had had this very dysfunctional childhood, she actually was pretty close with her father. Like, she'd been somewhat of a daddy's girl. Really looked up to her father. So even though home life hadn't been great, and her father was definitely not, blue ribbon winner.
Well, no, but dysfunction.
She had a really close relationship with him, and she loved him. He was her dad.
Dysfunctional families make family connections too. It's just sometimes in weird ways, but yeah.
And when he shot himself, he didn't die immediately. He shot himself, called 911, was picked up by an ambulance, taken to the hospital, and he didn't actually die until he was at the hospital.
That sounds horrible. I mean, that just sounds brutal.
Well, with this being said, the, very erratic home life, the unstable, situation with her parents, then her father's suicide, her brother being hospitalized.
Yeah, that's a lot.
She was a really depressed kid. She also tried committing suicide by the age of 13 when she took a bunch of pills. Now, Linda would marry just weeks after the divorce.
So before the suicide?
About around the time of the suicide. She's going to get remarried to a very wealthy man named Beverly Russell. They called him Bev. He owned an appliance store, and he was also a South Carolina Republican executive, like with the state kind of Republican Party.
Oh, so he's somebody.
He was like a pillar of the community, active in a lot of those, small town civic organizations, well known in town.
Right.
Kind of like a big wheel in a small town.
Oh, Beverly. A guy named Beverly?
He had been pretty much the opposite of Susan's dad. So Mom really felt like she had married up.
Well, yeah.
When she married Bev. And Susan may have felt that way too. They moved into a bigger house in a much nicer part of town. She had a really tough time, though she was living a much more privileged life. Money wasn't tight. She was spoiled. Pretty much had anything she wanted. She had a really odd relationship with her stepdad. Susan desperately, wanted his attention. She was someone seemingly throughout her life who was always kind of looking for that father figure, needed some approval from a man.
Yeah.
And maybe not so much in a romantic way, but in that she was looking for a dad.
Well, yeah, just some validation.
She had some daddy issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do, but she definitely did. But the relationship, like I said, was really odd. It was almost like she was competing with her mother at times for his attention.
Okay.
And later it would come out that he had been molesting her.
Oh, shit. You got a heap molestation on top of all that other stuff she's been through?
Well, at some point, Susan filed a complaint against Bev. And her mom, I think, maybe splits up with him for a little bit, but they end up getting back together. In 1988, when she's in high school, she tells a guidance counselor that she's being molested, and there was a second set of accusations levied against her stepdad. No charges were brought against him, so there was some sort of out-of-court type of settlement or mediation that took place.
This guy's friends with the prosecutors, the judges,
Well, like I
the
said,
police.
he's kind of a big deal in
He's
their town.
in the old boy network.
Republican Party.
Yeah.
He knows a lot of politicians.
He can easily bury
elected
something like
officials.
that.
Well, in school, Susan was a good student. She was a volunteer, worked as a candy striper.
Yeah, I heard that the other day again. What is that?
It's sort of...
you go volunteer at the hospital, right?
Yeah, and they do different things. They take
the towels and washcloths.
flowers to people and
okay.
sit with them and kind of visit, and they might do something like, I think they used to do things like take your blood pressure, but now they don't really do stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, any hour you volunteer is a very awesome thing.
She worked with Special Olympics. She was in other clubs at school, was somewhat popular, pretty, made good grades, was well liked by people, so just seemed like the world, was her oyster.
Well, maybe she was getting past all her childhood traumas.
In 1988, so she's still in high school, she gets a job at the Winn-Dixie grocery store.
Good old Winn-Dixie.
Remember the Winn-Dixie? We don't have a Winn-Dixie anymore.
Yeah, they're all gone. There's still a few, but not here.
She started dating a married man while working at the Winn-Dixie store.
That's always a good idea.
She's still in high school, still a teenager, young teenager, She gets pregnant and has an abortion. She ends up working her way up, though, through the ranks at the store, starting out as a cashier and getting promoted all the way to being like a bookkeeper. So kind of like working in a back office.
Yeah.
Not on the floor, making a little more money, plus getting a job skill.
Hey, you can move up in a grocery store.
I mean, bookkeeping is a good skill to have.
Yeah.
She's also seeing another guy who works at the store. So when she gets dumped by the married guy, and get this, the married guy dumps her because she's seeing this other kid that's closer to her age. He's jealous and dumps her, but he's married.
What a creep.
What the fuck?
Married guys, married people affairs, they're such asses.
It's kind of gross.
It is pretty gross.
So she gets dumped by the married guy. She tries to overdose again on pills.
Yeah, well,
tries to commit suicide.
She's heaping all that, an abortion, which that's not easy, I'm sure. All this other stuff just getting heaped on top of this pile of...
And she's still young.
Yeah, she's still young.
I mean, that's serious adult decisions to be making when you're 16, 17 years old.
An affair with a married man, all that crazy feelings that get tied up in a relationship like that.
Well, it just goes to show that it seems like she's always trying to find that father figure.
In the wrong place.
She's got those daddy issues.
Looking for love.
She's often seeking out these married men who are older.
Oh, okay.
That's what happens. Kind of going to become a bit of a pattern with her. Well, right after all of this happens, after the suicide attempt, when she gets back to work at Winn-Dixie, she meets a guy, another employee there, David Smith. And David had come from a troubled childhood as well. His parents had a fairly tumultuous marriage. From what I understand, his mother was like super strict and religious, and his dad wasn't, and so that was always kind of a point of contention in the house. And then David really didn't like his mother's... I mean, she was kind of a fanatic.
Yeah, just that being that different with your core values, we've talked about it before, it's a strain in itself.
So by the summer of 1990, Susan and David were casually dating. Susan's going to find out she's pregnant in 1991. She had planned to go to college, so she was a bit disappointed, surprised. This is a little bit of a bump in the road. She had plans.
Well, that's what happens when you kiss.
Well, her parents were not happy that she was pregnant either. I mean, David didn't have money. He didn't come from money. He's a kid. He's working at a grocery store. They were not pleased at all. But Susan decides that they should get married. And even though the relationship was really casual, it was again one of those things where David thought they were just sort of casually dating, and Susan thinks it's something more.
A pattern.
So she really kind of, insists we have to get married and have this baby. So they get married, they move in with David's grandmother. Now, to add insult to injury, as I said, David had come from a troubled childhood, had similarly dysfunctional family. His father tries to commit suicide, and Susan finds him.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Come on, you can't make that shit up.
Just lots of trauma on repeat with this woman.
Daggum.
Susan and David, they have a rocky marriage. They're young. They don't have much money. It's hard. It's hard when you're an adult and you have some money to be married, right?
Well, yeah.
But when you're young and you don't have any money, I mean, money is like the number one thing people fight over.
Well,
Couples fight over.
You're trying to adult, and adulting sucks.
Yeah,
right?
it fucking sucks.
We was talking about that earlier today.
Yeah.
I was like, imagine if we had people to do all the little stuff for us.
With that being said, if you'd like to sign up as a patron on Patreon, we'll gladly take your money.
Yes. And we have one of those.
Yes, we got a new one.
Yes.
So they got this rocky marriage. The issue with the money, I mean, that comes up with most couples, but Susan was definitely accustomed to living a certain lifestyle. Remember, she came from money with her stepfather.
Right.
Had been a bit spoiled. So she's spending money left and right, buying lots of stuff.
Credit up to their eyeballs.
Yeah, spending money faster than she's making it. Money's going out. Bills aren't getting paid. Starts piling up. A lot of debt. She starts getting loans from her mother. And the spending caused problems with the marriage, as you can imagine. Susan's mother was described as kind of controlling. David was not liking the situation because, you know, his mother-in-law is already kind of got that domineering, controlling personality. Now she's giving Susan loans and money, so she feels like she really has some right to meddle in the marriage.
Right.
Give them tips on how to raise their baby.
Yeah, you got to listen now.
Well, David, to make things a little bit more awkward and strained, becomes her boss at Winn-Dixie.
Susan's boss?
Yeah.
Shaw.
So he's the boss there. They would cheat on each other. Reportedly, other employees at the grocery store say it was like a Peyton Place type of thing, where they are constantly sleeping around, hooking up with other people, co-workers. He's her boss.
Oh, yeah.
They break up. They get back together. I mean, this is like a regular cycle.
Now, sign me up to have my personal life bleed right over into my work life, so when I go to work, that shit can go right there with me.
I know, imagine if you had like a little nagging me all day long. Dylan, pick up your shit. Dylan.
I'm like, why is she making me a don't?
Why is there stuff here? What
Okay.
are you doing? Put things back where they go.
I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, lucky you. In 1992, Susan gets pregnant again. She and David reconcile, and this time they decide to buy a house.
That always fixes it.
Susan's mom and stepdad help them with a down payment. Now, during the pregnancy, there were rumors that David was cheating with another employee at the store. Susan was not happy at all during this pregnancy. It was reported she didn't like the way she looked. She didn't like the weight gain. She felt ugly.
She's taking care of a little one.
unattractive.
She's already got a little one.
Right.
That's hard stuff right there.
Well, after Alex's birth, the couple tries to reconcile again.
I'll stop cheating.
Because they had issues during the pregnancy. He's cheating. Things aren't going well. Like I said, they are chronically breaking up, getting back together. And you probably know those people. I know those people. And some of them I keep around, like on Facebook, just so I can watch the drama play out.
Yeah.
I mean, we know these people.
And once you cheat, you never get it back.
Things are never the same.
You never get it. Even if it goes on to be okay, it's never the same.
Are you speaking from
ever.
experience? Do you have something to tell me?
Well, no.
Okay.
I'm not cheating on you. I'm just saying that you see those couples. It's never the same. They never have the spark.
3 weeks after Alex is born, they split up again. So literally, they will be together for like 2 weeks, break up for a month, get back together for 3 weeks. I mean, it's
Right.
just on and off. Well, this time David moves in with his grandmother. And Susan ends up getting a job as a bookkeeper with a different company, which is probably a smart move.
Yeah.
They don't need to be working together.
No. And that's what they needed in all this was a new little baby. That's going to make it easier.
Well, this is when she ends up meeting the 27-year-old, the good-looking fella Tom Finlay in 1994. David has